my part in just helping him stay loose. Like, I just remember running out and just joking around and being like, we're about to make history. Like, let's go do it.
My name is Mike Lacey, and I'm grateful. I have a guy who sounds different to me. His name's Sam Vander Haar. Sam, welcome to Beyond the Game.
No, thank you for having me. It's good to be here.
Where are you from, brother?
Melbourne, Australia.
Melbourne, Australia. How in the world does a guy from Melbourne, Australia end up in Provo, Utah?
Yeah, it's
in a university.
Yeah, no, it's it's funny you say that because it is such a contrast, like from where I'm from to obviously Provo. But yeah, it's a long story. I started my journey back at ProKick, which is pretty much where all the Australian punters that you see over here now.
All right, so
ProKick Australia, yeah.
All right, and so Aussie Rules Football. I've seen. Is that where your touchdown is like this?
No, you got to kick it. You got to kick it through like.
I know, but the referees go like this.
And it goes like that. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It's not this.
Well,
it's that.
Yeah, it's that. Yeah.
Okay, now I know I'm going way off target here.
Yeah.
But Aussie Rules Football is kind of a mix between rugby and.
Yeah,
I don't know what. Tell me.
It's a weird blend. Like, everyone's got their interpretation of what the blend of it is, but I would say it's like a mix of rugby, a little bit of American football with like the punting aspect.
Sure.
Basketball and European handball a little bit,
really?
To be honest. Yeah.
Really?
The field, it's kind of hard to explain the blend of it because it is such a weird field. Like, it's probably the size of 2.5 football fields in length, maybe a bit bigger than that.
Okay.
And then in width, it's probably the size of 2 football fields, but long ways.
All right.
If that makes sense.
So I want to go back to this because that's going to be fascinating. I saw the deep blue video of you and your family in this ProKick Australia.
ProKick Australia, yeah.
Yeah, ProKick Australia. And it was fascinating how you've gotten here. Aussie Rules Football, awesome.
Yep.
Your mom called you the dozer.
Yeah.
So many cool things.
Yeah.
So, all right. ProKick Australia, they're taking Aussie Rules Football punters and trying to make them into punters here in the U.S. or what? What's ProKick Australia?
Yeah, so they basically allow tryouts for anybody. Like, you can basically pay to go try out, and you go there, and basically Nathan Chapman and John Smith, who are the 2 coaches there, basically assess your power, and if they deem that you can have, like, you have that natural leg strength, obviously the ability to naturally drop the ball into your foot as well. You can't just be some schmuck off the street, I don't know if that's a swear word in Utah.
No, it's not.
Schmuck
on the street is we got that.
Yeah. If they can deem that you're able to generate the sufficient power to be able to come over here, then they believe that they're able to refine the skill to match the game here, which I think they've proven that they're able to do that pretty successfully. So.
All right, so Lee Johnson met with us. Do you know Lee?
I know Lee, yeah.
All right,
he's
Lee,
so funny.
He's a fanatic with kicking, and he's a friend with everybody. He is.
I call him a 20-year-old in a 60-year-old body.
He is. And you know what? He hasn't changed since he was my teammate.
yeah.
I wish I had the sweet energy that Lee Johnson has. But, all right, so Lee Johnson was a fantastic punter.
Yeah, phenomenal, yeah.
All right, but you Aussie Rules kickers kick it a little bit differently. Tell us about the difference between a Lee Johnson prototype and a Sam Vander Haar, or so many of the Aussie, or is it Aussie Rules? Or
Aussie Rules Football, yeah. You nailed it. Yeah, they call it rugby punting on the commentary, but it is Aussie Rules, like what you're saying.
Right.
The way that Lee punts, the traditional spiral is a lot more rigid. It's very process-based. There's slight nuances, but for the most part, the coaching surrounding that's pretty similar, with the ball drop and the swing and straight up and through the ball, things like that. But what we do as Australians with the Aussie Rule stuff, it's a lot more, I guess, intuitive, in the sense that when I go out and punt, my swing on my first punt versus
so you're talking about the swing of your leg.
Yeah, it's just different.
And you kick with the instep of your your foot
Yeah.
to get the boom on the ball.
Yeah, there's a lot more like hip drive, and I guess you can go into like all the real nuances of it, but there's a lot more hip drive to generate a certain swing, and obviously the ball spin makes it hard for returners as well to kind of read the flight.
Right. So does it come down a little bit like in baseball we call it a knuckleball, and that's a ball that floats because it doesn't have any rigid spin.
Yeah. So yeah, in some cases that's the like desired result you're after. Like when we played Houston, that returner we respected him a lot. He was a very, very dangerous returner. My whole goal was to just try and make it really difficult for him to catch it. So just like put, different types of spins on it, because obviously he was dangerous and we didn't want to punt return. So that's pretty much like the main crux of it. And also the block point changes with the rugby style kick. So you're able to hold on to it a lot longer, and it becomes a whole lot harder to defend, basically.
Sure.
If you imagine being a specs coordinator trying to rush an American style punter or traditional style punter, it's pretty simple. You're right behind the shield. Whereas in rugby, I can go out this far. Moves. The shield moves. I can go that way as well. Mm-hmm. We haven't shown that yet, but
can you kick left-footed, or you can just go that way and still kick it right-footed?
No, I can kick left-footed. Well.
Really?
Yeah. So I did that a little bit at Pittsburgh when I was playing there. My first punt in American football ever on a field, obviously at Pittsburgh Stadium, was at the back of the end zone on my left foot.
Whoa.
Yeah. So that was a daunting experience. Yeah.
Sam, I mean, that is. Not only does he have a wonderful voice, because I don't know why, but we Americans love to hear your Australian or the British accents that we hear there too. But what a story. And again, watching the Deep Blue video of you and your family and everything was fascinating. I highly recommend it. Yeah. But I'd love to dive deeper, into how did you get to BYU? I've interrupted you a couple of times.
No. I've kind of waffled on. So that's
how'd you get here, my brother?
So I was obviously played at Pittsburgh. I came over from ProKick, as you know. And then I played my first year at Pittsburgh, and it was good, but it just probably wasn't what Hallie and I were after from, I guess, just everything perspective, like being a little bit older, and we kind of wanted a different experience.
Where did you meet Hallie?
I met her in San Diego while I was backpacking in 2019.
Yeah, and again, I'll divert you.
No,
you're going to have to live with me this way. But I saw that you backpacked the U.S. and Central America.
Yes.
I served a mission in, the countries were Panama, Nicaragua, Honduras, and Costa Rica.
I wanted to get to those places, but I didn't. Yeah.
You did? Okay, so you weren't.
I went in Mexico.
You were in Mexico, and there's some cool places to hike around, Chiapas. And all right, so tell us about your hiking and how that drew you to Hallie. And is it Hallie or?
It's Hallie, Hallie, nailed it. Yeah, most people struggle with that. Don't know why. But so Hallie, I was just there with my brother. We obviously, as I was mentioning to you earlier, worked for my dad's company in swimming pools. And then it was the end of year, so we kind of just went on a trip, and we were backpacking there. And met Hallie on a hike, and just kind of went up to her and tried to swindle her with my accent. And
is she from San Diego?
No, she's from Cleveland.
Okay.
Yeah. She was living in San Diego at the time doing a travel contract for nursing.
Oh.
That's what she does. Met her there, and shortly thereafter, it kind of all happened pretty quick because COVID shortly thereafter happened, and she moved to Australia with me in January, and from that point forward, we were kind of like, what are we doing? Because I'd lost my job because of COVID. And Hallie was
swimming pool job.
Yeah, my dad had to lay me off, obviously, because the business was getting crippled because of COVID. So, Hallie was still working in nursing, and I was like, "All right, well, we want to end up in the US. I want to do sales in the US, but what's the logistics of that?" And I worked out pretty quick that wasn't really feasible. Just with, in the US, they prioritize a degree a lot more than probably what they do back home. I was able to work my job without a degree, and so. I was like, oh, well, how much is a degree? Is that expensive? Whatever. And then that's how I stumbled upon punting.
How did you get to Pitt? Was it the punting?
It was the punting.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'd found ProKick through an ex-teammate that he played for the same football team, the semi-professional team that I played for. And he was not bad for a kid that never graduated high school. And he basically got the credits required to come over to university and started his clock then. And then he finished up, I think, at UCLA or Maryland.
Wow.
And then I was like, what is this? I'd never watched American football to that point. I didn't know what punting was. I didn't know anything.
But I saw in Deep Blue, I think your mom said that you just loved Aussie Rules Football and
Oh, yeah.
your dream. In fact, you said your identity
Oh, yeah.
was in football or
Yeah.
Aussie Rules Football.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, there's some life lessons you can learn from it. We as kids, we have these dreams, these aspirations to be something.
Mm-hmm.
That was interesting to me. That did you have to let go of, hey, I'm not going to be an Aussie Rules Football player, or you got a bigger dream or a different dream of coming to or not BYU, but to America and being a kicker here?
No, I think you hit the nail on the head. I had to let go of it because I chased that, I would say, almost over meticulously for the better part of 18 to 20 years, I would say. And yeah, that was really, I think that's honestly what has fostered me in to be able to have the mindset I have now. Because when I played Aussie Rules, I was an overthinker. I got hurt because I was overtraining. Like I was over the top with it, I would say. Probably a little bit immature looking back, but I was a young kid trying to pursue a dream. And then that's allowed me to come over here, and my whole mindset towards punting is different.
Interesting.
Like, so with punting, I don't want to say I don't care about it because I obviously do. Like, I train very hard for it, and I'm very meticulous about my process now still, but game days are different. That's the biggest difference.
But when you let go
yeah.
of the anxiety,
yes,
and then just when you have a don't care attitude, but you're prepared.
Yes, that's
something. Because before we got on here, so you and I had a little conversation, and I was likening your attitude that helped Will Faren to what we used to do to each other in baseball.
Yeah.
Because American baseball, is a very tense, anxious sport because you have to go up to the plate. And anyway, part of getting a guy ready was just, saying silly, we call it inane things, like, get your mind off of being so nervous.
Yeah.
And so I love what you were saying about, because we as BYU fans saw Will Ferrin in that Utah game before one of the most dramatic field goals ever. And it wasn't an easy field goal. It was a pretty good distance,
Yeah.
And the kid was sitting there laughing.
Yeah.
Why was he smiling so big? Why? I kind of saw it and said, he's confident. That kid's going to do it.
Yeah.
But it sounds like he had a little muse.
Yeah.
I don't know in Australia if you use speaking in his ear.
Oh yeah, I was.
What were
it's
you
so
saying?
funny thinking back to it now because I remember when Chase caught that ball at midfield.
Yes.
I went up to Will and I'm like,
Here we go.
I was like, we're on here, mate. Like,
yeah.
And I was just like,
all right. So let me stop there because for those who don't know, Sam is not only our punter, but he's also our holder for field goals.
Yes.
So you and Will, I don't know if you were saying this on air, but you were telling me that Will Ferrin is very, not OCD, but very meticulous in his preparations, especially when he first met you, on how he wanted that ball.
Yeah, I've never met when I say I've never met a kicker, I obviously had kickers at Pitt, and so I'd held a little bit at Pittsburgh, but I was very, very raw. Like I'd never done it before. And the first thing I noticed about Will when I got to BYU in January and was starting to work on holding was I just couldn't believe how much he takes into the kick, in the sense that, like, if I'd missed my spot by half an inch, he would see it. I'm like, how does he see that? So
and he wasn't harsh, but he
was harsh, and he would say he would say that too, like borderline. But honestly, he needed to be, and he knew that I liked to be coached that way too. Like I like to be just told, hey, like, that was rubbish. Okay, it was rubbish, and I'll fix it. I don't want to be, it was okay. No, just tell me, was it bad? Yes. Okay, I'll fix it. So that was something that our relationship, it's probably why we have such a good relationship as a friendship, and also professionally, I guess you could say, is because he understands what I need from him in terms of from, I guess, a coaching aspect, and then he knows what he needs from me too in terms of during game day.
Sure.
Like if he was, some kickers are very serious on game day, and others are very like what Will and I have, and we just like to almost mess around a little bit before heading out, because I know that that's what makes him, I guess, tick and makes him be able to do what he does. And I think I started to work that out probably halfway through the season. Like I think that the first half of the season I was very nervous because I'd never held in a game before. And then we kind of, after the Baylor game, I don't think he missed for the rest of the year. And so it was kind of like, after that Baylor game, I'm like, why are we putting so much pressure on this? Like, let's just go out.
Let's go and have fun.
Yeah, who cares? Like,
I love it.
You're the best kicker in America. Like, I'm a good holder. Like, this is simple, And so we just, from that point forward, it was, honestly, like, every time I put the ball down, I knew it was in. It was really strange. Like, I'd never felt like he was going to miss, which was, and that's cliche. Like, people say
no, I understand.
But,
Yeah, I mean, you have to go up. I'm going to hit 1,000%. If you're going to shoot 3-pointers on a basketball court, you have to have the confidence that this ball's going in.
Yeah, and like what you were saying before with the baseball analogy, like it makes you loose. And I remember like constantly saying to Will, like, I'm going to give you the best hold possible, regardless of what the snap is. And I think he knew that too, which made it easier for him to go out and do his job. So it was a well-oiled machine, I guess you could call it, because there's three parts, So,
but the emotional, intellectual part that we as human beings can get so wrapped up in the anxiety and the importance of the moment.
Yeah,
I love it. I'm going to share. I mean, when I was watching, and I didn't go to that game.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a hard one to go to because the fan base up in Salt Lake could be so I mean, and I'm sure we're the same here. But I was watching on TV, and it was so fun to see Will Ferrin with that giant smile, almost like he's laughing. And I didn't know that there was a Sam Vander Haar that might have been telling him jokes or something, but keeping him loose.
Yeah.
So that he was prepared to kick that field goal.
Yeah, and it's not taking anything away from him. At the end of the day, he's the one that's gone out and done the amazing job.
Good point.
But my part in just helping him stay loose, like I just remember running out and just joking around and being like, we're about to make history. Like, let's go do it. And it was, but in a way of like, it doesn't matter anyway, though, not like you cannot miss this. Like, we have to win, It was just kind of like, let's go make history.
Let's
like,
go.
Who cares, And so I think it was, I don't know, when we went out there, it was, I don't know, as I was saying to you earlier, like watching it back now, I get more nervous, like trying to picture myself holding, as opposed to then, it was kind of just like,
all right,
it'll be fine,
Why does a punter, why were you the holder?
Yeah, so I got to BYU in January, and as I was mentioning to you earlier, I was competing for the job, and so I knew that if I wanted to stake my claim as the starting punter, it would also help my case to be a holder. And so I'd met Will on my official visit, and we developed a really good rapport, and I'm like, I'd love to hold for that kid. Like, he's funny. Like, this would be a good relationship to have anyway. And he was the starting kicker at the time. And so I knew if I wanted to be the starting punter, most of the time punters hold for kickers. And so I just got to work. I pretty much said to our snapper, Dalton, like, I want 150 snaps a day until the start of the season.
Wow.
And so credit to Dalton. He's heading off to UCF, so shout out Dalton. But he would come out with me every day, and we'd do wet ball drills, we'd go out in the snow, like in the indoor. It was, I loved it though.
The preparation that goes in. I mean, wet ball drills. All right.
Yeah.
Here you have a football. It's wet. It's slimy or whatever.
Yeah.
And you still have to handle that and put it down.
Yeah.
And Will Ferrin needs it to be within a quarter of the inch, of whatever.
Oh, it needs to be on the spot.
On the spot. Not even a quarter inch out. But that's amazing.
Yeah.
Good on you, Sam.
Yeah. So it was cool. Yeah.
It was cool. I can think of a couple of plays. And let's make sure we're there. I went to the Baylor game.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
And that was fun.
Oh, man, that was fun. But all right. So here, Aussie Rules Football. Tell me what your role was as a football player in Aussie Rules Football. Are you in the scrum? Are you getting the ball? Are you running? Does everybody get involved in running with the ball?
Yeah.
Running open field? Tell us about... because I saw you make some open field moves against Baylor we're going to bring up. But how were you prepared for running with the ball in the open field?
Yeah, so in Aussie Rules, pretty much my whole life, I was an inside midfielder. So I was, you have like what's called a ruck. So in basketball, how they do a jump ball.
It's called a what?
The ruck.
The ruck. Okay.
Yeah, so that would be like...
a jump ball.
Kind of like a jump ball.
Somebody's on the inside and both teams are leaning against each other.
No, that's rugby.
That's rugby.
That's
okay,
rugby.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. So if you think of it like basketball, it literally looks similar to basketball, but on a bigger scale.
Okay.
And those two go up, and then the ball, as soon as the ball's in the air, and it's game on. So my role was to get the ball out, basically. So that guy would tap to me, and then I would try and get the ball out. And
so these are laterals?
No,
Meaning, can they be forward passes
forward,
too?
backwards, anywhere, over the head,
okay.
anything. So I guess my role was just a physical inside midfielder. So just try and...
So you had to be big and tough, kind of like a tight end or a fullback. You have to be big enough to defend yourself, but athletic enough to get the ball and then throw it.
Yeah, you need to be able to just run.
Okay.
I remember one game, I clocked around 9 miles in the game of running. So you have to be able to run a lot. Like I was a very different. Like I'm 220 pounds now. I was about 180 then.
Right.
So I was a lot more of a hybrid kind of running athlete back then. So my role was very much like in a tight space, being able to like get around and get out and get the ball out. And I think that's where Coach Pop quickly, when we were,
Coach Brady Poppinga. No, I want to talk with him, right? Because obviously your special teams are great. But okay, so Coach Pop.
Yeah, Coach Pop. Yeah, so early on, I mean, he knew all this about my background, but I don't think it's different knowing it and seeing it. And so obviously in spring we'd practiced a couple of fakes, and obviously that particular fake we did against Baylor early on.
And it was at a crucial part of the game.
Yeah, and it was on their 25-yard line.
It surprised all of us.
Yeah.
It was on their 20-yard line.
Yeah, and that was a funny story.
Fourth down. Okay.
Yeah.
We'll go there. Too.
Yeah.
All right.
Because that involves Batty. So that's a funny story. But we'd work the fake a little bit, and Pop sort of said to me, he was like, "Damn, like you can run a little bit through traffic." And I said, "Pop, like it's innate. Like I've done it for so long.
Done it all my life.
And that's not taking anything away from I could never play running back. Those guys are crazy, but like the ability to like just see." The way that a defender's running at me, which way do I move? Like that's not something I have to really just think about. It just kind of happens. It's a little bit like Aussie Rules punting. Like that's the fun part about it, is that going out to punt was the least nerve-wracking thing, because it was just like I'd been kicking like this for so long. It's all I know.
Wow.
So it's just the reliability factor.
All right, so you're on our own 20-yard line, so you have 80 yards.
20 or 30, I can't really remember, but one of those. It was in their side. Yeah.
You have 80 yards to get to our end zone, and I forget what the down was, but I mean, it was fourth down.
4th and 10.
And 10. 4th and 10.
Yeah.
I mean, that's scary, brother.
If we don't get it, we lose that game, I think. And I think Pop said the same thing too, because they were one touchdown within us.
You're right. It was a close game
at that point, and then Will kicked the field goal, which made the 3-point buffer.
What? Yeah. Was this in the third quarter?
Yes.
Because all right, so again, as a fan,
yep,
I'm there at the game, and we have this fantastic start. BYU jumps ahead.
Yep.
We look like we're dominating the game. Somehow, either we let our foot off the gas, or Baylor worked their way back in. But now it becomes a nail biter.
Yep.
And so, brother, we're 4th and 10. Back on their, our own 20-yard line, and you call Brady Poppinga calls a
Kelly Poppinga, yeah.
Kelly, I'm sorry.
No, you good. Yeah.
All right, Kelly Poppinga, Coach Pop, calls the fake punt, and you run to your left.
Yeah.
All right.
So he calls it in, but we can check out of it.
Okay.
Based on their look.
Okay.
And we should have, and that's what was funny, because we went out there, and I'm like, oh, it's on, and then they shifted. And we didn't get the look we wanted. And Batty looked back at me and kind of just like gave me a bit of a wink. And I'm like, oh, we're doing it anyway. So
is that the funny story?
Well, yeah, the funny story is that on the bus afterwards, so we get the fake. Obviously, everybody knows we got the first down. But on the bus afterwards, Batty was like to me, dude, I was going to check out of it because we didn't get the look. And then he just said, I won't say exactly what he said, but he was like, screw it, we're doing it. And then we get it. And Pop afterwards was like, just like obviously pumped up and excited, but just so nervous, because he said to, which I didn't know this till afterwards, obviously, he said to Kalani on the microphone, oh, we don't have the look anymore, we need to check out of it. And then Pop was like to Kalani, oh, Batty's not checking out of it. and then we went for it and we got it.
Fortunately, no one called a timeout.
No, and so it was credit to the guys, but the thing is that we were always going to get it. The guys that I have and had and still have.
Was Tyler Batty one of the upbacks blocking?
He was the shield, yeah. I think he was the right guard, I think. But he was the architect of the punt team.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
So he was the one who would call in or out
yes.
Okay.
So we called that fake maybe 5 or 6 times prior to that in different games, but we check out of it because we didn't get the look. And that one we had the look and then we didn't. We still ran it. And the rest of it was a blur. Like the snap came back and I guess.
But you said you had the guys in front of you.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Who were they? I mean.
So I had Batty, Bruce Mitchell, and John Nelson.
Uh-huh.
And then I had Tanner Wall, Jack Kelly, And then all the gunners, the Mackenzies, like things like that in the gunners and things like that. But it was just executed perfectly. If you slow it down, you can just see everyone doing their job and like giving 100% effort. Like Slade, even Dalton, like he made the block where the guy would have got to me. Like,
but I've seen people, even running backs, and I was a fullback.
Yeah,
I was more of a straight ahead runner.
Yeah,
you were going to the open field. You were reading helmets or seeing the color of the uniforms and going. I mean, you zigzagged just perfectly.
Yeah.
But I attribute that to your Aussie Rules football experience.
Yeah.
Hey, this is no big deal for Sam Vander Haar.
Yeah, well, it's funny because people ask, well, you noticed that that was the least nervous I was all year. Like, really? I love running.
That was so fun.
You know, because to me, it's like I'll just back myself in. So it's just like, whatever. Like, I'm just going to, and I'm not afraid to get hit. And that's the other aspect of it. Like I said to Pop, like if there's grass, like I'm going to at least give it everything, you know? It's not like I'll tentatively like take a shot. No, like I'm going to get the first down, you know?
Right.
And so it was...
and you did. You went 20 or 30 yards.
Yeah.
As I recall.
Yeah. So it was a fun play. It was good.
But, I mean, when you think about how risky it was...
So risky. And people always say that, but what if we miss a throw on it from the quarterback into a touchdown? It's the same thing.
Exactly.
So it's like, I get the high risk, but that's why we were so good last year.
You're right.
You know, the onside kick against Colorado, like our coaches, I would prefer to have a coaching staff that back us in and don't say what if, and they go, well, what if we get it? You know? And so that one play, like, and I'm not saying this because of me getting the play, but for the team aspect, like it shifted the whole momentum. Like I came off on the sideline and everyone was going bananas. Like it was, you could just see because at that point, as you said, they were coming back, and that was going to be
the momentum of the game was in their favor.
Yeah, and even though we got the field goal, I remember the guys just like it was almost like new life into them almost. And I just said to Pop, I'm like, you just changed the whole dynamic of that game, and he was like, no, you did. I'm like, well, you were the one that designed this whole thing.
Hey, brother.
I'm just the guy that delivers the message. You know what I mean? That. So it was cool. Yeah.
That was cool.
Yeah.
Sam, you know, here we are talking about mindset, and I want to talk about two things here in the next minute. You were talking about mindset and helping, you know, Will Faren just be calm.
Yeah.
You know, and he's good anyway. You didn't.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
As a team, as a unit, you guys were together. You also said, and I love this because it's pretty obvious that our team, that you kind of like each other. I remember, and you know, as an ex-football player, I saw a lot of film, and so I'd see things on the field that sometimes people miss. And I remember a time when Tyler Batty went downfield and made a tackle on a sideline against Arizona or someone, I forget. And then he did a swim move on the.
That was against Arizona at home. I remember him doing it. Yeah.
Did you see that? No, I didn't see it. That was cool. You know, he's having fun.
Yep.
He's having fun.
Yep.
You guys have fun, but you said you're the antagonist in the locker room. What do you mean when you say you're the antagonist?
Yeah, I would just say that, like, particularly in our specs room, like, it's very normal in my culture to like just hang. I can't swear. Just like hang stuff on each other, like just say things to like rile each other up. Okay. And so in my specs room, particularly like
specs room, what is that?
Like the specialists.
Okay, got it. Okay,
sorry, that's my bad.
No, it's I like it.
Yeah,
I want to learn this.
Yeah, like I would just take the mickey out of everyone, basically. And,
take the mickey out of it.
Yeah,
meaning make them loose.
Yeah, just like joking around. Like I guess it depends on the personality too. Like if you're a very like. Maybe you get offended quite easily. I obviously won't do that because I don't want to hurt your feelings. But I just like to give it out, and I like to like take it in that way as well.
Too.
Yeah, and so it's just funny and like.
And in athletics, we learn that from each other.
Yeah,
right? I mean, it's important to have. So anyway, to me, the antagonist in the locker room is the guy that's really helping bring things together quite often.
Yeah, and it's just for me, it's just fun. Like as you said, like Kalani has fostered an environment where. It's obviously we prepare very, very meticulously, but go out and have fun. You know, like against Colorado, that was so fun because we knew we were going to destroy them. Like, I guess, I don't know if that's a bad thing to say, but we also were preparing like we were going to lose. Do you know what I mean? Like we were preparing in the sense of like, okay, well, we need to respect.
You're talking mindset again.
Yeah.
So, all right. So I didn't understand, and it'll be interesting. I want to know.
Yeah.
You knew you were going to win.
Yes.
Or you had confidence that you could beat them, and yet you were preparing to lose. Not that you could lose.
In the sense of like we were treating our opponent with the utmost respect. We knew that their talent level,
they were great.
They were electric. So when I say prepare to lose, I don't mean it in the sense of like, oh, we're going to think we're going to lose. It was more like, let's treat our opponent with the utmost respect and let's train like we're the underdogs, essentially.
Sure. And I think you were.
Yeah. But then when we went out, like, I remember everyone saying to each other, like, we're going to easily beat these guys. But sometimes I feel like if you have that mentality, then you don't respect your opponent. Arrogance creeps in, contentness creeps in, and then you inadvertently just play worse and you get smashed. We were treating it like, okay, like these guys are very good. Like, let's prepare like we're the underdogs, or I guess that we're going to lose, and we'll go out there and we'll destroy them if we do that. And we went out there and it was credit to everyone, but it was just like all three phases, like Parker, like, and the other thing as well, like even on, like I only had the one punt, but shout out to like my punt team. Like I've got guys that like start, like Jack Kelly, Tanner Wall, like guys that are in their own right stars and who have like even Batty at the time, John, all of them.
Sure.
Like it's pretty rare, I think, on your punt team to have guys that have such a formidable role in the game who want to be on punt team, you know? And they're the things that like a lot of the fans don't see, like the effort level those guys put in. It makes my job a whole lot easier and it makes me look a lot better.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and it's the same on field goal. Like all those guys that were blocking for Will in that Utah game winner, like, once again, you don't see it as a fan, but if they all don't block correctly and do their assignments, then those like Utah were notorious for blocking field goals.
Oh, their defensive line is so powerful.
Yeah.
And fortunately, we have one of their guys now.
Yeah.
Keanu.
Yeah. Keanu, he's a stud. And so that's the thing as well. It's even like on special teams, like with field goal and the punt unit, like we're preparing as if the worst can happen, but that makes us better on game day because everyone is so assignment sound because they know if they're not, this can happen. So that's kind of the way we treat the Colorado game as well.
Love it.
Yeah.
And seriously, as a fan, I was having maybe as much fun as you guys.
Oh, yeah.
It was so fun to be there in San Antonio. Beautiful time of year in Texas and to see that great game of you guys.
Yeah.
But so many of the guys, Keanu we talked to, and he talked about, what was it? The lion who's climbing the hill is hungrier than the lion who's at the top of the hill.
Yeah.
I'm probably butchering his quote.
No, it sounds about right because when you're fed, you're not as desperate versus someone that's hungry.
And you guys had a great season. I mean, 2 hiccups that were so frustrating, more for you guys than for us. But we were so proud and are very proud of what you're doing. But what's so cool about this team is this mindset of we've got more to do. Yeah,
no, 100%. And that's the thing that, you know, from last year to now as well, like what drove us last year is like everyone in the media saying, oh, like you're going to be 3-9 or whatever. Like that was fantastic. Like, because we were preparing, like everyone was treating us like that. And therefore when we went out, we were just, as you saw,
proof.
Yeah. And so, and then this year it's like those 2 losses, as bad as it was at the time, in a way, if you can look at the positive side of it, it's a blessing in disguise because we look at it and we're like, we could have been in the playoff. You know,
easily.
Like
I wish so much you had been. Oh,
no, yeah.
I love the way you as a team played.
Yeah. And there was a genuine belief because as I said, people say, oh, we should have been in the playoff, and there's bias, like there's emotional bias in that. I feel like we genuinely believe that we could have beaten anyone that played in that playoff. And, you know, I just think we had the team to do it. And so this year going forward, our goal now is obviously that's the standard. Like we need to get to where we should have gotten. And I think last year it was like, well, let's prove everyone wrong. We're a good team. We're going to just ruffle some feathers in the Big 12 and just see what happens. This year it's like, we know we're a good team, but there's no like complacency in the sense that, well, we want to be an elite team, you know? And so I don't think we were elite last year because we didn't get where we wanted to get to in the playoff aspect.
Right.
And I think it's also good to think that way, you know, because people talk about our team as being potentially one of the best teams in BYU history, which is great. But once again, like I was saying to you before about the mentality, if you think that way and you think you're some stud, then
you're ready to get
it's
picked
inadvertently happening in a game. I mean, you played football. Like if you think, oh, this guy sucks,
He's going to get you.
Yeah, he'll get you, you know. And so I think with us, as much as we know that we're a good football team, we can be a lot better. So
you're obviously a young man with a lot of maturity. You've done a lot of stuff. I love the video in that deep blue, and I think it was you, a picture of you. Was it at Yosemite?
Yes.
Backpacking?
Yes.
And I'm from Northern California.
Was Yosemite.
So Yosemite is one of the most beautiful parks in the world.
Yep.
One of the most beautiful. And you were with your backpack sitting facing out towards this beautiful valley and these giant cliffs, you know. And they said, or you said something about, do you remember?
At that particular time?
Yeah, at that particular time, it was like you had a life lesson or a vision of, you know, change in your life.
Yeah.
Or that maybe you were meeting Hallie at the time, or.
Yeah, I think I was talking about how my identity was football.
Okay.
But I realized through traveling that there's just so much more, and it altered my perspective. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. And like I look back and you know, this may be bad to say about myself, but I look back at that time and maybe I was a little entitled and a little arrogant, little young guy. And then I went traveling and saw how much I have compared to a lot of other people, you know, because you don't understand what you have until you don't have it so much anymore. And obviously traveling in very poor parts, particularly in Central America, and seeing these people with nothing, I'm like, wow, that made me like really check myself and be like, wow, you are an entitled little kid, you know? And so I think going through that, it was actually an amazing experience. And I feel like I was, I guess, mature enough at the time to recognize that, but then also to get back and be like, I started to change as a person. I think I started to maybe push people out of my life that I knew were not good for me in terms of at that time. And then I think without that trip, I don't think I ever would have been in a position to be able to like meet Hallie and so on and so forth.
Well, you bring up something that I can really identify with, because when I was called on a mission, you know, here I am, a young man from California.
Yeah.
And California, I was proud of my state, proud of my country, you know, and we had a lot of great things. And here I am, the first place I go to is Leon, Nicaragua, a very poverty-stricken country and place. And at first, I thought, oh, these poor people, these dirt roads, dirt floors in their houses, you know, the sanitation and everything is really difficult.
Yeah.
I felt sorry for them, and I also felt kind of proud.
Yeah.
You know, and after about 2 weeks, I realized, look at these people. The kids were running around pushing bicycle things, you know, rolling them on the dirt streets. The sun was going down over the palm trees over the Pacific.
Yeah.
It was beautiful. The families were out on their porches visiting with each other. I said, you know what? They might have more than I do.
That's what I'm saying. That's,
you know,
that's exactly what I thought.
You learn a humility.
Yep.
I maybe that's the wrong word, but you also mentioned that in football, that when I think I'm better than you, I'm suspect to getting defeated.
Yes.
And yet that humble mindset.
I like that. That's such a good comparison. It is the same thing.
I don't know. So all right. I'm gonna say something that I don't want to be offensive, but
that was deep. That was true. I mean, that's
every once in a while these old dudes come up with
words of wisdom.
No, you're coming up with the wisdom because you're sharing it with us in a way. I expect that you're not a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
What gave it away?
You're from Australia. You met Hallie. And nothing gave it
away.
No,
I'm kidding. Yeah.
I don't think you are, right?
No, I'm not. No.
Which is cool.
Yeah.
I love that. I come from a very diverse background, and I was one of the few Mormons in my school, you know? And so, and my friends love me and I love them. And I sense on this team that you guys all love and respect each other. So what's it like for a kid who's from Australia, played Aussie Rules Football, played at Pitt, marries a young lady from California? You and she make this journey to Provo, Utah, which is a very unique environment. How do you fit in? How do you feel? What's your experience so far?
Yeah, I love it. It's like, and once again, like kind of what I was saying earlier, like you're meant to say that, but I actually do love it, and I wouldn't change it for the world. It's funny.
Yeah, I guess I'm kind of leading.
Yeah, no,
but honestly, I sense that you're pretty happy. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I love it. I wouldn't. There's I wouldn't change it for the world. And it's funny, like I had a little bit of skepticism when I was getting recruited by BYU, in the sense like, would I be ostracized a little bit because I'm not a member? Like I didn't even know what a Mormon was before getting recruited by BYU or a member of the LDS church. So I had no knowledge of anything, and I'm not the type to read about things that people like. I could care less what people say until I meet someone, and then I can formulate my own opinion. And everyone that I've met in and around Provo at the facility are like the nicest people I've ever met in my life. Like, it makes me feel like I'm not a good person. You know what I mean?
I hope not.
No, just because, like, from the moral aspect, like, because you guys live in such a way that is, I guess, morally outstanding objectively. And so it makes me want to be a better person too, which is really cool, you know? So it's something that I didn't think that I would think before coming to BYU. But that's probably something that I've realized, like, just being around the locker room, like, it's just a good quality group of dudes. You know what I mean?
That's what I feel.
Yeah.
Regardless of whatever religion or non-religion.
Yeah.
But here's something that impressed me is Jay Hill on your Deep Blue, you know. And I felt this way about Jim McMahon. You may or may not know of Jim McMahon, but he was a famous quarterback at BYU, played in the NFL, and very famous, but he kind of had a rebel image.
Yeah.
Right? And I ended up loving Jim McMahon. He was one of my favorite teammates.
Yeah.
And sometimes he was the antagonist in the locker room, you know.
Yeah.
But we make each other better, and that's what Jay Hill said about you.
Yeah.
He said that, you know, I don't know if he said that BYU is good for you, but that you're really good for the team.
Yeah.
What does he mean?
Maybe
we already know it.
No,
because we've met you.
Yeah, no. Shout out Coach Hill. He's a special dude, but I think it's just like an altering perspective. You know, like a little bit of a different perspective, because a lot of, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but I feel like a lot of kids, particularly that are from Utah and that maybe haven't gone on a mission, it's very myopic. This is very like what everyone. That's not what everyone's like, actually. You know what I mean?
You're right.
And so it's, and I don't mean that in a bad way, but it's just the reality of the situation. It's like me coming from Australia, like leaving Australia and coming here. And fortunately, I traveled a little bit, so I knew that already. But not everyone's like me. You know, and so it was good for me to be able to maybe bring guys out of their shell that wouldn't have maybe met someone like me. And then me as well, learning off them, being like, wow, actually, I could be better in this aspect of my life, and so on and so forth. And I don't actually feel different to the guys, though, in the sense that, like, obviously I'm not a member, but I don't get treated like I'm not a member.
And you know what?
And that's the biggest thing.
You are a member of that team.
Yes, yeah.
And you are a member of our community.
Yeah.
You are a valuable contributing member in so many ways. It's fun to meet you, Sam.
Yeah.
Whoever knew that a dang punter could have such good, deep, you know, your thoughts on humility, and you didn't say humility, but your thoughts on your mental preparedness, your mindset are deep and good and valuable for our team.
Yeah.
Especially for these kids that were just in Utah.
Yeah. And that's what's really cool as well. I think that's the impact I've been trying to leave on the specialist group, is that I don't have the perspective of maybe snapping or kicking or punting I've been kicking the ball my whole life, but like punting my whole life. But it doesn't change from the aspect that if you want to be great at something, you need to be willing to almost overdo it a little bit, but also have fun while doing it. And so I think for me, like, I've kind of instilled that hopefully into some of my teammates, being like, you know, anything worth doing is worth overdoing, but in a safe way, and also having fun while doing it. And I think that I probably wouldn't be where I am from, I guess, the level of punter I am now if I didn't have that mentality of just wanting to just try and outwork everyone, you know. And that's just the way that I've luckily grown up through maybe my parents, or I don't know, maybe my friends and family growing up.
Some of those pictures in Deep Blue showing you, you know, mud covered.
Yeah.
Because you were just in an ordeal of a game, obviously.
Yeah.
Sam, the journey you've taken is fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
Love it.
Yeah.
What year in school are you?
So I'm a redshirt junior.
Okay.
So I have this year definitely, and then hopefully one more year after that.
What are the goals? What's the future?
Yeah.
For Sam and Hallie?
Yeah. So for us, we just want to honestly just keep trying to be better people each and every day. And then for me personally, I want to try and take football as far as I can and just kind of see where it leads me. And
what
then,
does that mean?
Finish my career at BYU, hopefully win a national championship, or at least a Big 12 championship, and then hopefully try and take it to the next level. And then if that doesn't obviously work out, I would like to, work in medical device sales or something of that nature. And then for Hallie and I, what's really cool about our relationship is that we kind of just we'll just see. You know what I mean? It's not we're very rigid in our thinking. And I think that's probably why
you're open to...
Yeah. People ask me, where do you think you'll end up in the US in the next 5 years? I'm like, I don't know. Just wherever, whatever happens, And I think it's cool to kind of live that way because it's not in the sense of I'll just ride the wave per se, but it's more I'm open to opportunities, and I think she is as well. And I think that's kind of what makes us maybe unique, which is really cool.
Is she working now or going?
Yeah, she's working right now. Yeah. So Hallie graduated from Duquesne, and she's 31, so she's been working a little while now. But yeah, she does a permanent nursing contract in Payson and also locally as well.
For her.
Yeah. So.
All right. So when we met with Lee Johnson, and the benefits of a spiral punt,
yep,
is hang time.
Yes.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Can an Aussie Rules punter get equivalent hang time?
For sure. Yeah. No. So it's funny. When I was getting recruited out of Pittsburgh, pretty much 95% of my film was traditional spiral film.
Really?
Yes.
So you know how to kick a spiral?
100%. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's just one of those things where I feel very comfortable doing spirals, but the reliability of no matter how elite, to put it in layman terms, I guess, no matter how elite you are at spiraling, because it's such a rigid motion and there's so many variables,
you can shank it.
You can have a mishit. You can have a shank. Whereas the Aussie Rule stuff that I do,
more consistent.
Yes, it pretty much limits, if not completely alleviates that possibility.
Let me stop you there because I was super impressed with you and some other Aussie Rules punters that I've seen on their ability to place the ball.
Yeah.
When you're kicking toward your end zone,
yep,
for field position, and then putting it inside the 20-yard line or inside the 10 or even inside the 5.
Yeah.
That's fascinating that you have that kind of targeting with a punt. Where do you learn that? Or is that just luck?
I mean, of course it's not luck. No, I'm kidding.
Good.
No.
I hope it's not luck.
No. And that's the conversation Pop and I had, is that Pop, and once again, a lot of fans don't know this, but it's very good and well to go hit a 60, 70-yard punt. But if it gets returned 40, then you're actually only netting 30 to 40 yards, And so Pop and I had that conversation. He was like to me, during the season, I don't want you kicking it further than 50. Because if you have it between 40 and 50 and we get it
outshoot your coverage.
Yeah, and we get a fair catch, then all of a sudden you're netting 42 to 46 every time. And then statistically, if you're doing that, you're going to be probably top 5 in the country. And so for us, it was, let's net every yard that I punt. And so a lot of it was by design. Obviously that 70-yarder we had against Baylor.
Oh, and you had a little bit more of a line drive.
Yes.
Now, but that looked like
by design.
By design.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So and it was funny, when we played Kansas State, I did one of those, and I think we ended up netting 48 on it. And I remember the fans, as soon as I kicked it, were it's a shank. No, that punt was complete by design to try and draw the returner away from the ball and just allow the ball to do its thing.
Right.
Right. Physics would say, obviously, driving it,
and
it's going to roll. And so that's the thing that I don't even try and bother explaining, because I don't really care what the outside perspective is, as long as my coaches are satisfied with, obviously, what our goal is as a team, and it's going to help us win. That's all I care about.
But do you have better aiming ability with your Aussie Rules? Okay.
Yeah, so that's the big draw with it, and also it opens teams up to getting fakes on them. Because the block point changes, I'm moving already. If no one rushes me, I'm just not going to kick it. I'm just going to stand there and just hold it, and then I'll kick it. Because
I see that now in the NFL you can do
of course, and that's why I think there's a lot of success, at least initially, and also in the NFL. There's a lot of Aussie guys there still, but is that the rules allow for these nuances, and why not take advantage of them? If we can have 40 return yards on the year and have a fake here and there, and the field position is what it is because of the type of punting we're doing. Isn't that what we're trying to achieve as a punt unit anyway? You know,
Absolutely.
Obviously the aesthetic, like I love booming them and like sitting in the pocket and booming a spiral, but it doesn't help our team because you're opening us up. Then opening us up to getting returns and so on and so forth. So they're like the little things about it. You know, I think this year we'll be doing a bit of everything, like a bit of pocket, a bit of rollout, just to keep teams on their toes.
Are we going to teach you how to throw the ball like a quarterback?
I can throw the ball. Nah. Yeah, I got a bit of a custard arm, but that's all right. Yeah, so no, it's all right. I mean, I'll just stick to running it. I just say to Pop, and that's why I love doing fakes too, because every punter wants to punt as much as they can, you know, selfishly. But for me, I could care less if I don't punt all year if it means that I run fakes all the time and we get first downs and it helps us win. And I think that that's the thing that maybe is a little different about me, is that I care more about winning than, like, I love punting, of course.
And that's what makes you and the rest of your team so unique is you're not in it for yourselves as much as you are for the whole team.
Yeah. It's just about knowing your role. You know, like I'm in a service role. My role is to help the team, you know.
I remember a couple of times because back in my day, we had some great quarterbacks and we had offenses that just ran the field. Mm-hmm. I mean, threw the ball mostly, but we would go down and score most of the time.
Yeah.
And so the problem for our punters, and I remember this particularly for Clay Brown and for Lee Johnson, but they didn't have enough punts at the end of the year to qualify for the
Ray Guy Award or what?
Yeah, I think at the end of the season you had to have at least 20-something punts.
Yep, that sounds about right.
To qualify for the statistics of and both of those guys, because our offense was so prolific, didn't get enough chances. Yeah. Even though their average per punt was just crazy good.
Yeah.
You know, so tough for them, but fun for our team.
Yeah. And that was the thing. It's the only selfish moment I had, at least. I mean, I might have had a few, but at least
let's write this down, Eli.
At least for me was, I remember against Arizona, I think as a punt unit, we were netting maybe 44 or something, and it was a good day. And it was a minute to go, and the ball's on the 34-yard line, and Pop's like, all right, field goal ready, and like, all right, sweet, Will's going to get a long field goal, like whatever. He's like, all right, punt unit, we're going to send you out. And I looked at Pop, I'm like, I'm not kicking from the 34. He's like, just kick it out of bounds. I'm like, what, net 20? And then I was like, okay. And then as we were running out, I got the punt unit together and I said, I'm putting this on the 1. Like, I'm netting every yard I can get on this thing. And fortunately enough, we did. We got it on the 1. And
I think that's what I remember.
Yeah.
You know, like, how does he do that?
Yeah. And it was just funny because I
so that was your selfish moment.
Yeah. I said to Pop, I'm like, why, dude? Like, we won this game. Like, you just ruined it for me. But, I mean, in a funny way. Like, at the end of the day, like, I'm going to go do my job. I don't really care. But it was just funny because we did have a lot of short fields. And so it was a lot of pin punting last year. And, you know, I guess, once again, if it helps us win, I'd care less. Perfect. You know, so.
And actually, that accuracy has to be pretty valued in the NFL, too.
Yeah, for sure. Right? Yeah.
Your capacity to do that.
Yeah.
Sam, this has been a lot of fun. I know that we had a limited time. Before we ask you to finish this off, I wanted to make sure. Oh, I forgot.
The big one.
The big one, brother. Because this was the most unique play I saw during the season against UCF.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was you, man.
Yeah.
But we had the funniest behind the back pass or was that between your legs?
Between my legs, yeah.
Are you kidding me?
That's what I said when they told we're dialing it up. I looked at him, I'm like, dude, I pretty much have told you I'll do any punt in the book, and now you want me to do this?
Right, like, so set the stage against UCF.
Yeah.
We lined up in a field goal.
Yeah.
And someone called a fake.
Yeah, I called the fake. Well,
you did.
Pop calls it on the sideline, and then I have Batty's role in the punt unit where I check out of it if it's not on. And so I'm down there and it's on, but I'm looking to make sure that, you know, we either check out of it or we stay in it. And I just remember looking and being like, oh, we have to do it. I'm like, the look's there. And so I look back at Will, and Will's like, he's like,
he wanted you to.
No, he was like, oh no, like he was so nervous. Will was like, all right. And then so I make the call and we get it. But
so you get the snap.
Yep.
And the fake is that Will starts running behind you, and you
legs.
take it and flip it between your legs up enough that he can catch it.
Yeah, that was Coach Hill's.
How in the heck did you do that?
Yeah, that was Coach Hill's fake. He did it with an Aussie at Weber State. And the theory behind
all Aussies know how to do that contorted.
Well, allegedly, yeah. I mean, there was a couple of us that did it, so I guess. But his theory behind doing that, as opposed to just me doing this, or people said like stand up and throw it, is that it draws the rush enough because that motion of me putting the ball down, it makes them
still down.
It's still down, and then I flick it between the legs. Now, obviously, the level of difficulty goes up, and I remember saying to Coach Hill, I'm like, mate, like, what is this? Like, you just...
Because he's only several yards away from you.
He's like, it's easy. What are you talking about? Well, yeah, easy for you to say, pal. Like, I'm the one that has to go out and do it.
And on the video we saw, Will Faren said, well, it worked like 1 out of 4 times we practiced.
Oh, that's generous, yeah. I remember it was a Monday after a game, or maybe it was before the first game, and Pop was like, I got this fake we want to try. And I'm like, oh, sweet, thanks for telling me right now. And I had to go out and do it, like, within the next 5 minutes. And I'm like, it was just awful. I'm like, oh yeah, this is going to work. And then probably 2 weeks leading into that game, we didn't miss it. Like, it was like 10 to 20 times out of 20. Like, we were getting it every time. Yeah. So eventually it was smooth. Like, the coaches didn't just go, oh, this sucks. We'll just try. No, but I remember as soon as I threw it through my legs, like, because I'd done it so many times at that point, I knew that it was in his hands. Like, sometimes you can feel it if you've underthrown it or overthrown it. Or
so Will Ferrin runs to the right sideline enough to make a first down, and as a fan, I'm just loving it.
Yeah.
But then I had to reverse it on my TV. I said, how in the heck did he get the ball to Will Ferrin?
Yeah, it was pretty funny, and like shout out to the coaches because once again, they make us look good, but it's all their idea, you know. Obviously, we have to go out and execute, and that's the other level to this whole deal. But the fact that they even trust us to do it, it instills trust in yourself, you know?
Does it create a level of fun? Like, hey, our coaches trust us enough. It creates a belief in yourselves, a confidence, I guess.
Yeah, and it also, I mean, I would like to think, even prior to all these fakes and the success we've had on special teams, that our teammates respected us anyway. But I think going out and executing these things inadvertently makes our team like want to be on special teams and be like, wow, like we really want our punter and kicker to do well. Like we can see the impact it's having with them being successful. Let's try hard. And that's why like all the guys on my punt team, like every time they ran down the field, I never ever ran off the field and went, well, he didn't try very hard. That's annoying. Get him out. Like, it was like, wow. Like, these guys have just been playing. They've probably played 80 plays, and now they're coming onto my punt team. And, you know, like all these different things can happen on punt, but they obviously alleviate that by, you know, doing their job to the standard that they do it at. So,
I love
lucky me, I guess. Yeah.
No, lucky us. Lucky you. I'm glad you're here.
Yeah.
And I hope you're glad you're here. I hope this is the most wonderful experience for you and Hallie.
Yeah.
And as a fan, as an ex-player, I'm just totally impressed with the effort, but also the attitude, the mental mindset you have. So because I know we've taken you full time, do you have any final thoughts that you'd like to share with us on Beyond the Game today?
Yeah, no, just thank you for having me. It's been a lot of fun chatting to you. I wish I could stay longer. Just very excited for this year, and I just feel so grateful and blessed to be able to go out and do what I do, and I definitely don't take it for granted. So it's going to be cool one day to look back on my career and think of all these wonderful things that we did, but I guess I still don't allow myself to get too caught up in it because I still have a job to do and I still have a role to play for our team's success, you know, albeit that I'm just the punter. So yeah, just excited for this year and excited to show you the different punts we've got installed as well. It's going to be fun.
Oh, I can't wait.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to see you out on the field and or in between.
Yeah.
But thank you, Sam, for showing up.
No, thank you so much for having
what
me.
you do. Thank you for your contributions to our Cougars.
No, thank you so much. Thanks, guys.
Thank you for watching another episode of Beyond the Game. Remember to click here to subscribe and click here to watch our recent videos. Also, please follow us on social media. And remember, go Cougs.